So I wanted today to answer a question that was sent out to me, I think during the holiday or earlier this year. Maybe late last year, and I'm still getting through all the questions. So like I've mentioned, if I don't reply right away to you in the comment section when I do have time, that means that there will be an upcoming video on the particular question or topic you suggested. So this person asked me whether I could do a video to help people find their purpose in life, to help people know what their purpose is. So before answering and talking about this, I want to make clear that for me, we don't have one grand purpose. I think some people do have one purpose, one mission that they have to accomplish, and they come here just for that. For me, and my experience is that I may have several things that I need to do. I may have several purposes, and one I finish one, I complete one, another one will show up. Don't be surprised or don't restrict yourself. It is possible that your purpose may change, that you may become maybe more aware of your definite purpose as you go along, and that you may have additional missions to complete as you grow, simply. And don't be frustrated. Sometimes we often think about our purpose as something that has to be really grand and that has to be, make us famous or be something that sounds extraordinary. But sometimes your purpose may be something very, very simple, maybe something very that seems almost too casual for others. This is why you really have to be in tune with yourself. This is why you really have to be ready to get started. What I've jotted down was 5 different things that you can start thinking about as you are exploring yourself to rediscover or to be more aware of what you're supposed to be doing. And I think that's the only thing I can offer. I cannot tell you what your purpose is. I think this is something that you owe to yourself to discover that for yourself. I think people can assist you and tell you their perspective of what they're feeling around your energy and things like that. But ultimately, it is yours. Your choice. It is for you to decide. Even if someone tells you that this is your purpose, it is still your choice to decide whether you want to actually go along with that or not. And so I hope that these 5 different points will just give you something that will maybe help you have that little moment, that little haha moment, so that or that you'll figure out where you want to direct your energy and how you really want to make your mark on this earth in this particular journey. Okay, so there's 5 tips to do. The number 1 tip is to use your emotions. I've always said this, that our emotions are really our thermostat. Okay, they are there to help us know what is triggering us. Things that make us angry, things that make us very mad, things that make us cry, things that make us laugh, that make us love, that make us smile. Those are all indicators. For each of these emotions, you should see what in your life, what resonates, what triggered this emotion within your life, so you can actually associate with that. And it is really important to know that, because those are the things that you will manifest anyways. Part of manifestation is always having that kind of emotion behind it. Yeah, and the more intense the emotion is, the more likely you are to manifest that faster. So it is kind of important for you to check in with yourself and to see what are the things, if you look into your purpose, what are the things that triggered me. And I've mentioned this in other videos as well, is that saying things that angers you, okay? Because some people will only look necessarily at the things that make you laugh, things you love, and things like that, which is good, and we'll talk about that. But it's also important to look at the emotions that are negative, things that anger you, things that annoyed you. Because it's also an indicator that you may be called to do something about it. This is why it's frustrating you so much. If you look at the biography of people who've been activists, people who have sought for justice and other things, it's because injustice ached them. They couldn't sleep thinking about another child being on the street. They couldn't sleep, or they couldn't do something when they thought about such injustices, or they thought about certain things. They had to do something about it. They were called to do something about it. So if those kind of things anger you and trigger you, it may be just because you can do something about it. Whether it is to write about it, how to write a blog, create a platform, or go actively in the street and do something with the community, or create something. So it all depends on what actually angers you, because you may be able to do something about it. If, for example, battered women, really, that the fact that some women are being battered really angers you and really, you know, make you lose sleep, then maybe because you can go and volunteer at a women's shelter, you can, you know, assist and volunteer your time in different organizations that are working to alleviate that. Or you can even work to educate men or to educate children and boys and all those different things. So there may be a contribution that you may be able to do, and this is why it's angering you so much, because it is within your core. All those feelings are within your core, and sometimes it angers you because you don't want to do anything about it. So you have to be careful with that. You have to watch out for that. But your emotional definitely something that you can use in order to know what is within you that's actually deeply rooted, because that's what the emotion is showing you. Emotion are not necessarily. Some of it can be programmed based on whatever you're watching on TV, but a lot of it comes from your source, comes from your core, to show you what you actually caring about. Okay. Now when you're looking at your emotions and you're looking at the situation where you're being or feeling triggered, there are 3 questions that you can ask yourself. The first one is, what was the problem that triggered your emotion? What was the problem, or what was the situation? Second is, did you resolve that problem, or how did the situation end? And lastly, how did you resolve it? What tools did you use? What strategies did you use? For example, if you felt angered when somebody was chewing a certain way because the noise was annoying you, for example, and maybe this is a pet peeve that you have, it really angers you, it aches you when somebody's chewing a certain way, making a certain type of sound. Now, how did you deal with the situation? Maybe you just walked away. You could decide to eat your food someplace else. Maybe you'll yell, you're angry at this person. Or maybe you told this person really nicely and politely that it was that you were being inconvenienced by the sound of their chewing. And then how did that resolve the situation? Maybe the person agreed with you and started, closing their mouth when they chewed. Maybe the person walked away, or maybe you simply walked away not to have to deal with that. So when you're looking at this situation, you're looking at how you're dealing with your different triggers. Some of your tools that are given to you for your purpose may be in those things that you're already doing. Because I don't believe that you need some grand new brain thing that anyone is going to give you something amazing that's never been done and never existed before. I do think that when you're on your path for your purpose, a lot of the elements are already there within you. A lot of the stuff are the things you're already doing every single day sometimes. And it's up to you to identify those things so that you can pull out those little strategies that you've already started developing and using in order to serve you in the area that's most important, in order to serve you that in a different way in other areas of your life as well. Number 2 now is understand your strength and how others perceive you. Okay? Understand your strength. That means there are things that you are good at. There are things that you excel doing. There are things that you do amazingly well. Okay, so there's nothing to be humble about that. This is not some ego tripping. This is just you acknowledging the assets and the skills that you do possess already. Okay, and not to be shying away from that. You have to assert it. Muhammad Ali said he was the greatest boxer of all time, and he never shied away from that. And he really worked hard to be there and to be that, to embody that and represent that. So don't shy away from your talents. Basically, if you know there's something that you do very well, when people are acknowledging that, when people are recognizing that within yourself, don't turn them down. Don't push that back. Don't degrade your talent, or don't minimize them. Sometimes people will say, oh, you sing very well, and you will try to memorize and say, oh, no, I don't really have this thing, I don't. Or you say, oh, I love this poetry you wrote, or I love the work you did on this project, and you can try to minimize yourself in saying, no, no, you have to kind of own it. You did it. You are that great. So you have to own it. And this is not about, blasting that into other people's faces. This is just about accepting the recognition and the reflection that others are showing you in terms of recognizing your talent. And that's going to help you when you start recognizing what are the areas that I'm excelling. What are the skills that I have that people come to me for? Okay? It's just acknowledging your capacity to do certain things extremely well. The same way there are maybe areas that you don't do as well, or you don't really good at. And that's to recognize that, because that's, you know, that may not be the area you want to invest in or you want to go towards. You know, that may not be in within your purpose. To me, when I think about purpose and I think about the things you're supposed to accomplish, there may be some difficulties that are coming in the process of accomplishing that, so that it makes it really challenging. It makes it also much more rewarding. However, it comes with a set of skills that you have already, or that the skills that you do have will enable you to acquire greater skills that will help you finish, or that will help you excel even more. So I do think that it starts at the core. It starts with you knowing your talents and you acknowledging that, recognizing that, embracing that, and being proud of doing some of the things very well without any apology. Okay? And the second part of this was to recognize how people perceive you. Okay? You may have thought that you wanted to become a healer your whole life, let's say. But that is not how people perceive you. Maybe people perceive you more as a counselor, or people perceive you more as a coach. And sometimes you have to kind of realign yourself and say, you know, if you seem like you want this really bad, but that is not how the world is seeing you, that is not how the people are seeing you, that is not what the people come to you for, then you have to readjust and you have to kind of go inside and say, okay, if people are perceiving me like that, what in me is reflecting that? Okay, so when you do this internal questioning, you are really thinking, what in me is a coach? If people keep coming for me for personal advice on their relationship or whatever, and you may not even be in a relationship yourself, but people come to you for the advice because you give good advice and sound advice. You get advice that they actually use and it worked for them. So they keep coming back, they keep even bringing their friends and other people. And so you have to acknowledge that. You cannot just dismiss the fact that, you know, maybe you want to be an artist, but the project that you get are always things where you want to be maybe a painter. But the project that you are invited to collaborate or do are always singing project or musical project. At some point you have to sit down and you have to actually think about yourself and say, you know, what about me attract people that want me to do singing and deal with music? And what about me does not work so well with the drawing and pictures? So those are things that sometimes it is hard for you to kind of have a wake-up call and say, you know, you are focusing maybe on something that is distracting you. Okay, and you have to be honest with yourself sometimes to realize maybe you're focusing on those things because of other people, because of other reasons, because, you know, maybe your cousins wanted to do that and you did that with her and it stuck with you. You are you focalize yourself on that, while it is not something that you truly want. It's not maybe something that you never even thought about before. So it is important to recognize that. It's important for you to have this honest dialogue with yourself in terms of saying how do you perceive yourself? What is your self-image? And to put that in light with how people and other people perceive you on what you ought to be and who you are presently. So that was number 2, understanding your strengths and how people perceive you. Number 3 is what are your passions and your things that you love doing and learning about? So this is really different. It may be that for you it is the same as how people perceive you, the things you're searching and learning about, maybe the same thing that you're really good at. Maybe you're good at it because you're searching and learning about them. Okay, but it's possible that it's something completely separate and different. You may be very good at something, and, you know, maybe being paid to do that. Maybe you are a physician or an engineer, or, you know, or a keyboard person, and you are really good at what you're doing. Okay. Now the number 3 is, what are your passion and what are the things that you are constantly learning and researching about? Okay, what are the things where your mind is wandering towards all the time? The things like think about the last book that you've read, the last, you know, Google search that you did. What was it about? Okay, look at the time, your free time. How do you spend your free time? What do you do during your free time? Those activities, those hobbies are really important in terms of saying, you know, maybe you're being geared towards something else that has nothing to do with your daytime job or even your business if you are a business owner. And you have to look at that and you have to say, okay, is this just a hobby? Is this just something I'm doing to distract myself, to release myself, or that keeps me going? Or is there something more? And I think it is important to take the time to say that, so that you can really identify, you can also reclassify and give you the appropriate time it deserves within your life. Maybe you know that reading a book really relaxes you, really helps you to escape. Then instead of stressing out your entire month or a few weeks and here and there and finding a book whenever you have time, make that part of your scheduling time. Make that part. It could be a Sunday afternoon when the kids are away, or when your husband is with the kids, or your partner is with the kids, or when you're done with your workload of the week, that you have those few hours that you set for yourself where you can drink your tea and start reading your book. But put that time into your calendar. Acknowledge that time, and acknowledge the things that you do that nourish you naturally, the things that you gravitate towards without anyone telling you to do them. It's important, and it will actually help you also manage your time and maybe alleviate some stress as well. If it's really something that distresses you and relaxes you, incorporating that in your schedule as a fixed schedule where you actually block out time when people around you, your family and your friends know that this is the time where you're going to be doing this, that will definitely help you. And it may also help you point out your purpose because of the topic and the subject that you may be researching. And sometimes we don't really pay attention. We don't say, oh, I'm reading this book, I'm reading that book. But sometimes there is a thread among all of this stuff. Those different books may have the same subjects, share the same topic. Those different books may, have the same type of mythology, even though the stories are different, or even though the themes are different. Or you may be just noticing that you've been reading a lot of books on herbs and plants and all of the stuff. So it may be time for you to dive into that and take it a little bit more seriously, take it to the higher notch. Maybe for you to start experimenting of gardening, or having your plants, growing plants indoors, and actually testing and looking at these different plants and how they interact with your own body. Taking that kind of practice and researching hobby to the next level, where you actually experiment with it, where you actually involve your own self within it. Okay. Now, number 4 is, what do you feel is missing from your life? Okay. What I know is, like, a lot of time when people ask, what is my purpose? I don't know my purpose, I cannot find my purpose, it's because they feel that something is missing. Obviously, if you were already on the path and you already knew, have some type of idea that your purpose, what your purpose was, you wouldn't be asking this question. So this other question is a question that requires you to be very honest with yourself in terms of saying, what am I missing? What do I feel I don't have presently? Because sometimes when you're looking for your when you're looking for your purpose, you're actually looking for a person, okay? Some people say they're looking for a purpose, they want to know what their purpose is, when actually they're searching for love. When they're searching for love, they're searching for themselves. They're searching for this piece of themselves that needs to be reflected back at them. Okay, so this internal reflection can go in so many different levels and so many different ways. And it's something that you really have to take the time to sit and to reflect on that, and to not be scared of what you may found, especially for the example that I gave, where this quest for a purpose may lead you back to your own self, to that missing part of yourself. It may also be sometimes that we're looking for a purpose because we do not want to deal with what is inside or within us. Okay. I've seen this with clients who have some trauma issues. Okay, they're trying to escape the trauma by focusing on something else, focusing on a grand mission and some grand, thing, which is great, but not using that. Your purpose is not a door for you to escape who you are, to escape what happened to you, or to escape certain experiences. Your purpose comes to complement that, to help you move past that. And especially with people who have trauma, sometimes it's just that using that trauma to see how you can help others. But in order to do that, you have to face the trauma. And so just keep that in mind, that it may be one of the places where you end up. So when we start this internal reflection, I always say you have to do it with a lot of honesty. You have to be ready to face whatever you're going to find. That is already within you anyways, that you sometimes be ignoring. And this comes for everyone. I've had to face my own demons, and believe me, it wasn't pretty. You have to face sometimes your shortcomings. You have to face whatever things where you are emotionally charged, whatever experiences that you had found to be negative or that you had found to have taken so much away from you. It would be very, very difficult for you to even embrace fully your purpose without doing that. And sometimes, even when you find your purpose, you will be called to face all of that, to face your inner demons in order for you to actually be able to embody your purpose, or as you are on that path. So don't be scared of that. It's just a natural process, and for you it's much better to know what's in there than to try to ignore it. Okay, so number 4 is really question yourself about what is missing within your life, within yourself. That's what you think is missing, what you feel is not there, what you would like the world to give you, what you will have, what you would like to have right now. That would be a great indicator also that can lead you to your purpose, and sometimes lead you back to yourself so that you can see your purpose more clearly. Okay? And then the last tip, the last element that I will invite you to look at is to start being who you are. That is really crucial, and I think that's where we all start. You know, we all hide sometimes behind this kind of facade where we want to pretend that we this, we want to pretend for social convenience, we want to pretend for this and for that purpose, and sometimes we are only able to be ourselves when we are at home, when we are close to the people who understand us, or the people who, and sometimes even the people who are close to us, we can even be ourselves around them because they're so judgmental, or they have so many different things around that we cannot trust them with who we are. But as you start being truly yourself, as living your truth, speaking your truth, you will see that all of those pieces of puzzle will come together. I've kept this point as a last point because normally this is the point I will start. But I know very well from experience that when you tell somebody to be themselves, to be who they are, and to embrace it, it oftentimes sparks a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety sometimes. People are not necessarily used to that, or not necessarily wanting to go that route. So the 4 other points are there to kind of open you up so you can get to that point. I think by the time you get to number 5, you pretty much assessed what needs to be there, and number 5 does not become such a surprise anymore, and becomes much more acceptable, much more of a possibility to embrace. So I'm going to ask you to basically at number 5 to just, you know, start being who you are. Start making up things. Stop stop refusing the things that you want. And I think that's a very, very important pattern that I see. If you want love, stop receiving yourself from receiving that love. Stop preventing yourself from receiving that love. If you want to be forgiven, forgive yourself. Like, this process of being who you are and of speaking your truth is what is going to eliminate a lot of the clutter, a lot of the cloudiness, the things that prevent you from seeing clearly. Because once you start being who you are, the people who are fake, or the people who really don't want to be with you, the people who are distracting you will move away. So you may lose a lot of friends, you may change jobs, there may be changes that will come along the way as you start being who you are. But that's the only way you will see much more clear when these people are gone, when the situations are gone. And then, after that storm, will come what is really meant to be in places. And for me, I'm just saying that whatever that storm is, for some people, there is no storm. They just wake up and have that kind of haha moment, and they just know that today I'm done with that. Today I'm going to be who I am. I'm not going to take this and take that. I'm going to live for myself. I'm going to do exactly what I need to do to move on, to grow, and to explore. And I'm going to face whoever doesn't want me to do that. And I'm going to be willing to let them go. So it doesn't have to be something that's frustrating. It may involve a lot of emotional release as well, because sometimes we hold on to people, to situations, to things because we feel comfortable, because we're scared, because we don't want to grow. And when you're asking for your purpose, you're asking for change, you're asking for growth, and therefore you have to be open to all of that. Okay, so thank you so much for being with me. I hope this was helpful. You can leave your comments below if you want to share also a few things that helped you along your way to find your path, or that you would like to help this person with. Please do so, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.